Hello everybody, how you doing? Welcome back and welcome to what is informally part 2 of my series on the business of creativity. And this video is going to be all about communicating with your clients and of course how to succeed at being paid for your creative work. Now don't worry, you don't need to watch these in order. And in the last video we talked a little bit about the importance of understanding your clients or your potential clients' businesses to win more work. Now today, as I mentioned, it's all about client comms, and we're going to be building on client and even prospect relationships by focusing on solid client communication. So look, I've broken this down into 5 kind of ideas or concepts that I think you should roll into your working pattern with your clients. And I think these are really going to help you stand out, secure more work, or get more of the awesome work that you're no doubt already doing on repeat. Because that's what we want, lots of repeat business. There's also going to be a free PDF guide at the end of this as well that I've created for you. A little bit more about that later though. Now, if we're meeting for the first time, thank you so much for stopping by. And if you're wondering why you should trust me or listen to me, well, I've worked in the creative industries for about, 20-ish years now, 10 of which were spent client side at Microsoft and Apple. I've also worked with multiple agencies and production companies and all sorts of other fun places. I've actually started 2 of my own businesses as well, one of which I'm running now very successfully, I'm happy to report. And I must have been doing something right because people along the way seem to keep coming back to wanting to work with me. And funnily enough, they even keep asking me to come and speak at their events as well. And that's where some of the idea for this video actually came from. I was invited to an event to have a chat about how clients should deal with creatives and creative agencies. And I thought, oh gosh, this is such important information for a lot of creatives. A lot of people who I've worked with, designers, videographers, artists even doing concept art, really need help with this sort of thing. And it really got me thinking that I had some incredible advice, both from client side and from being a sort of a business owner who works with a lot of creatives as well, and being a creative myself and overcoming all those hurdles. So think of this as a bit of friendly career advice from an experienced friend who has your best interests at heart. Feel free to ask any questions you'd like in the comments. I'll answer whatever I can, as much as I possibly can. I do want to caveat before we start with saying be very careful about taking anyone's advice online about how to run your business. The reason for that is there are so many ways to do everything, and every unique client situation is different. Sometimes I see people selling absolute certainty in their solutions for working with clients or their solutions for getting business. They guarantee or they stop short just of guaranteeing ultimate success. And when I do come across that stuff, it worries me slightly. Now, first up, I'd like to start with the big picture, because that's how my mind works. And that's probably the most important idea here today as well. This is the broadest concept, creating an experience for your clients. Number 1, this isn't about gestures or gifts or bribery or even sleeping with people, because sometimes people's minds do jump to that. But it's about making your clients feel valued and listened to, quite simply. And that there's a consistency also in the way that you keep them up to date and communicate details and how you just deal with them in general. Now, it goes without saying, we're going to assume from this point onwards that your work is awesome, or at least good enough to get you professional jobs. The other part, though, is when clients don't just feel appreciated, but they feel proactively looked after, they're more likely to come back to you for more of that work, or indeed invite you to come back to them. That is what you really want early on in your career, is that repeat business. And what this really means, though, is thinking about how you and anyone on your team, if it's more than one of you, deal with those people. And again, this is more than just being polite, which I think is a basic courtesy that everyone should just assume that they're doing. If you're not, you've got deeper problems. So what I believe in doing, and I stole this a little bit from Apple, but it really holds true, is thinking of the best possible customer service experience that you've ever had and trying to replicate the essence of that in your business.
Hey, Chef, what do all these different colors mean?
Orange is a dietary restriction, yellow is out of town, green is a VIP, and blue means kitchen tour.
And what about those notes?
Table 15 likes to eat faster, so we speed up their tickets. 23 likes it slower, so we add an extra amuse not to back up the kitchen. 22 doesn't like people to speak to them.
So have you ever been to a fancy restaurant or a hotel where it feels like they anticipate every single one of the needs you have kind of before you even have it? So seemingly you never want for anything? Well, that's kind of what we want to create. That feeling is what we want to replicate for our clients. We want to reverse engineer that sensation and that experience and apply it to our business. Now, this is within reason, of course. So look, that can be a bit of a rabbit hole sometimes, and sometimes you are going to have to say no and be firm with people, explain your policies, or even politely explain why you can't meet their expectations. But I think it's so important to maintain a balance. If you're honest and upfront with your information, you're clear with your policies, and you don't overpromise on things, it can make dealing with any ambiguity, any difficult situation so much easier. Okay, then so idea number 2 is regular updates. Now, especially as a new contractor or a new employee if you're employed, the people who you'll work for are still figuring out if they can trust you. It's nothing personal, they might like you, but they need to know they can trust you. And a great way to build that trust is by keeping everybody who's involved in the loop. Start by being upfront with how and how often you're going to communicate, and keep people updated. Now for me, depending on the project, it could be project milestones, sections of something getting completed, or even weekly email updates, daily ones even too on certain things, regular check-in calls, but that regular communication and a cadence that your clients want that isn't client initiated show that you're really on top of things, and it reassures them moving forward that a project is going to go smoothly. Also, don't just tell people in your updates what is going on. That is obvious. Update people with what is going on, but make sure to give context, give the why, and give them the context within your overall plan, what it is that you're telling them about. That practically means they don't need to refer to some other document to get a sense of what you're telling them. So if you're emailing them about something, don't just tell them that you did it, but give them the added context of what it means within the whole project as a whole. Explain what you're doing means for the whole project so they can see the whole picture and they don't have to troll through old emails or open a document somewhere to find a project timeline or a scope of work that you might have sent them months ago. Okay. So from regularly updating people with all of the relevant context they need, idea number 3 then, and here's a tip that can really set you apart, is over-communicating. Sort of in line with the previous one. And I know this sounds like a lot, especially when you're dealing with a new client, but I think this can be so important. Don't ever assume that people understand the creative process, even if they say they do. And look, I find this all the time, that people who work in marketing or socials often say that they completely understand, for me, the video production process, but they don't actually as much as they think they do. So it can be so important when you're communicating about the work or the process behind it, walk them through it. Explain the why behind absolutely everything that happens. Even if they say they don't need it, it will often go really appreciated, particularly for people in the corporate world. Answer questions that you think they might have in advance before they ask them. This level of transparency just builds so much trust and avoids misunderstandings down the road. And look, you're also going to find that as you build a shorthand with people and a working relationship with people, you can let this slip a little bit. Rightly so, you don't want to create too much work. But remember, do pick it up to a degree when new people join into the process or you start something with a different team. It also sort of acts as a bit of a parachute, this part too, a bit of a buffer for you, if you will, maybe a level of protection with different clients, because a lot of tough clients will go back and nitpick tiny details. So this acts as a bit of a trail of accountability for you to fall back on. You can say, well look, I did do this here, or update you here, and here and here, and you can kind of produce your evidence if you ever need to. Now hopefully you don't run into that sort of situation, but it definitely can happen. Now following on from that, number 4 is explaining small details. It sort of cuts to what I talked about before a little bit. Not every small detail should need explaining, and this can be a bit of a balancing act, because you don't want to waste your time unnecessarily creating work for yourself or wasting your client's time with too much communication. But generally, as a new contractor or a new employee, the people paying for you love to know what's going on with their money and that the money has been well spent too. So even if it seems really trivial to you, when there's a specific design choice, a technical aspect of a project, take the time to explain this stuff, to talk about it, and to actually communicate it with the why behind it as well, because it shows not only that you're thorough and professional and that you care, and it also helps clients feel involved in the process and more confident working with you. And it helps prime them for the next time you work together too, so that they actually learn about what's going on and they understand the process that you're going through with them. And that can mean at a certain point, you guessed it, you get to cut back on some of this stuff a little bit too when you develop that shorthand with people. A big trap here though I see a lot of people falling into is they cut back too much, the stakeholders change, and suddenly it's not relevant anymore. Now look, this is all a balancing act. I can't give you specific advice in this video for every different client you're going to work with, but in general, people really appreciate this stuff. Now look, I've spoken a lot there about making your clients happy, but the next tip is going to be specifically about making your life a little easier. But first, I really wanted to quickly mention this awesome t-shirt I'm wearing, flashing you. It's a photo of mine that appeared on shirts all around the world that were sold in H&M stores. And guess what? I didn't see a single penny for it. So, as a sort of revenge, I made a video about this, but I also created a line of shirts of my very own as a big FU middle finger to H&M and the online marketplace that gave them my image. And then I kind of got into it. And now I've got a few different shirts and some prints of my photography as well, and people seem to really like them. If you do want the full story of the H&M shirt, I have made a whole video about that. Again, I'll link that in the description below as well. But if you would like to support this channel, and if you are finding anything in this video helpful, and you like the design here, then please do grab an awesome t-shirt. There's a few different ones, and obviously it would really help me out. And if you are just enjoying this video and don't want to splash for a t-shirt, please just do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more of this awesome stuff. Okay, now we're going to jump back to making your life easier. Now finally, we are on to idea number 5. Let's talk about templating things. As you start working with more and more clients, you're going to realize pretty quickly that having templates for a lot of common communications, run sheets, project updates, proposals, scripts, storyboards, anything else that you might need to run your business is really going to help. Anything that helps you streamline communication. Businesses also love documents, and they love consistency. And if you have them all ready to go before you start, it can save you tons of time. Not only does it ensure consistency, it frees you up to focus on the actual creative work and doing what you actually want to be doing, while enabling all the client love stuff I've been talking about. Plus, it helps you look really professional too, if everything is organized and it looks nice on a nicely designed template. Now, so practically speaking, where this comes in is when you're exhausted from a long day's shoot, editing photos, videos, designing a website for 12 hours, painting a painting, doing a sketch. You just have a template ready to go that you can fire off with an info dump that doesn't look like it was thrown together by a 4-year-old at 4 in the morning, which hopefully your clients are really going to appreciate and like, because they'll be able to make sense of it without having to give them to 4-year-old brain. I like 4-year-old brain. Now, look, I've worked with all sorts of different templates, all sorts of tools for this, HTML stuff, emails, and where I've landed with how I do this is sort of a combo of some nicely designed templates I've got. I just use Google Docs, but you could use Word, Pages, all those sorts of things as well. And I've trained an AI chatbot to help me actually fill out all the details of these to some degree. So I've got a couple of AI sort of chat tools that I use. I've spoken about one in a previous video again, which is for writing draft scripts, but I've also got a video planning template that I use as well to help me automate some of this work. And I've fed it all the equipment I've had, example documents that I'd created before, and it just really helps. This is the secret as well. Don't just ask AI for something, actually give it all the best practices that you previously created from scratch. And putting the hard yards in and building sort of a perfect run sheet, a perfect plan for a shoot, then really helps AI feed you back what you want when you give it very simple details after that. It seems to be all worked out. And it becomes so efficient. I can just chuck a couple of basic details into my AI chatbot and get back all the content I need to paste back into my Word or Google Docs template. Okay, anyway, that is templates. I think it can really help you so much. To wrap things up though, client communication isn't just about being eloquent or taking people out to drinks and dinner or being a really nice person. It's about creating an experience by staying consistent with updates, being transparent, explaining all the small details, making people feel involved and informed, and using tools like templates to help things run smoothly too, so you can minimize the amount of time you spend on all this stuff. You don't have to be perfect all the time, but what I really would say is only relying on the end quality of your work, no matter how awesome it is, can come across as being arrogant and can be a massive mistake. You need to be reliably good to work with, and that isn't just about being nice and acting professionally in the moment on a shoot or in a meeting. Those are important, but it's really about how you communicate in between all of that stuff where businesses will really stick with you. These things are going to help you set yourself apart and help you build long-term client relationships, on top of being an awesome person to work with. One of the things that did pop into my mind as I was recording this and reflecting on my journey of running a creative business is just knowing your strengths. If client comms isn't your strong point, and look, for me, full disclosure, I'm great at creating the actual communications themselves, It's part of why people hire me to do this sort of work and do what I do, professionally communicating or helping them to do it. But I'm terrible at remembering to actually send stuff and scheduling time to do it, partly because I'm normally working on the actual creative stuff myself. But if that is you, even with all the AI tools and automations and project management software, you still get completely taken over by your creative process and you forget to email people or send invoices for a month, then you might need a business partner or a part-time account manager to help with admin for you. I know with all the best of intentions, if I am busy on a project, updates, emails, billing, and all that sort of stuff can go completely out the window. As I said, nobody's perfect, especially me. So I would love to hear from you in the comments. What is the thing that you do with your clients that gives them an incredible experience? It's so great when we can all share and learn from each other. And if you do have any questions, I would love to hear those too. There's also a link below for the free PDF that I mentioned that accompanies this video. It's going to have all this laid out, and it's going to have a couple of added extras, like a couple of the templates that I work with too. And if you're wondering why you're not landing clients still, then maybe watch this first video in the mini-series on creative business, which is all about speaking the same business language as your clients to help you win work. Or if you need a break from all the business stuff, and God knows I do after this, then check out some of these book recommendations too, because I've got some incredible books to read in there, and they're not about business, I promise you. There's some amazing ones. In any case, take care, stay creative, and I hope this helps you win some work or maintain some client relationships, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, take care and stay creative.